Wait, is this really happening? Are we winning in athletics, a relay event? Are those Indians standing at the top?
She was a consistent, quiz question, answer to a quiz questions. That who is the first Indian woman to win a, medal at Olympics? And in no means it was a, smaller feat or anything like that. Go and watch some clips from that point of time. I have a feeling that it didn't really look like a celebration.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this brand new podcast series from The Bridge. This is a show where we talk about the greats of Indian sports, athletes that have brought laurels to the country. While some of them have done well at the Olympics, others have won medals in world and continental events, and along the way have gone on to capture the imagination of the country.
A very controversial one. He's underrated going into the Olympics.
When he started playing badminton, and he would, defeat Lee Chong-wei one day or a Lin Dan one day, and then lose to a world number 50 next day.
In this episode, we'll talk about some of the underrated athletes in Indian sports. Now, while some of these are from the decades gone by, the others will be in contention at Paris 2024. To talk about all of this, I've got with me two very passionate writers and producers from The Bridge, Pritish and Tausif.
Thank you so much, Rahul. I'm glad to be here and excited for the conversation.
Tausif, welcome to the podcast as well.
Thank you, Rahul. Looking forward to the discussion.
So let's begin with you, Pritish. Tell us who you got on your list.
It's a list that stretches a long time in history. So I'll start with 5 picks in no particular order. One of them is Shivnath Singh, called as the India's greatest marathon runner. So great that his record hasn't been broken. The national record from 1978 is standing till date in 2024. On second number, I've got H.S. Pranoy, the top-ranked Indian male shuttler at the moment. A big reason for me having him on this list is I've always been his fan. And when he was in his early days, he was very inconsistent in terms of he will beat a world number one day and then lose to world number 50 next day. And at one point, when everybody thought that his career is over, the man made a comeback. And at the age of 31, he's going to his first Olympics. And last year, within a space of 2 months, he won a world title and an Asian Games title, which is, 2 medals at these two tournaments in badminton are as good as, a medal at Olympics. My third pick will be Karnam Malleswari, the first Indian woman to win a medal at Olympics. And, she's a weightlifter who always had who always had that grudge of not getting what she deserved. And I think it calls for she deserves to be on this list for the reason that her Olympic medal was more of like, tirade rant about the system of what India had back then. Another one, the number 4, is that's a legend from track and field and not much remembered like her counterpart P.T. Usha. That's Shiny Wilson, India's first flag bearer at Olympics and India's first women athlete to qualify for a semi-final at Olympics. She did it before P.T. Usha, and it's a record that till date, from the start of her career to the end, she never lost the race. And my last pick will be one of my favorite athletes representing India currently, Avinash Sable, coming from a very far off village in Maharashtra. This man has literally, won so many hearts first thing and then won medals also. He did a double of gold at Asian Games. And his best moment was Commonwealth Games where, he almost trumped a Kenyan for the gold medal. And despite a very strong field, he won the silver medal there.
So just a heads up to the audience first, this is more of a contemporary list. Also, there's a very personal list. The athletes here are personal favorites. People who I have worked on have the privilege to work on them. So at number 5, I have the Indian men's relay team, the 4x400 meter. Both the men's and the women's team have been exceptional and they have been giving some extraordinary performances at the World Relays this year. Apart from that, last year also they have been in the news. So I have got them in the 5th place. At number 4, I have the dynamic duo of Satvik Chirag. This is just on the basis of a fact why they are underrated is because the time span that they are playing, it has been very short. and they are in the news. They have been dominating, and it has been a very high journey for both these athletes. So to just see where they reach, where they soar, is my only expectation from them at this Olympics. At number three, I have someone from the past. This is a story that I worked on very recently. It is obviously the legend of Prashant Sinha, who was an integral part of the 1962 Asian Games Indian football team victory under Coach Rahim. And obviously, his performances in the semi final and final was something, a tactical brilliance by Rahim Saab, and his own brilliance. But that was unfortunately overshadowed in the film that released recently, Maidan. So that is why I have him on the list. On number two, I have Parul Chaudhary. She comes from a very humble background. She is one of those very few athletes that I have seen who constantly works and strives hard to improve on herself, no matter what the results are or how her peers are performing. She just works on herself to develop her performances. And at number one, this is a very controversial one. It's PV Sindhu. I know there's no scope of argument here. She's underrated, but I'm just thinking from a perspective of how she's underrated going into the Olympics this year.
Some interesting names there, and a bit of a blast from the past there as well in Prashant Sinha, and that was a fantastic piece of exclusive story that you did, Tausif. For those of you that haven't watched it, you will find that video as well as feature story on thebridge.in. Now, I just want to circle back to you, Pritish, real quickly. Talk us through in depth this time a little bit about maybe a couple of these athletes.
I think I'll start with Avinash Sable because like it is another story that I worked on last year, and I had a chance to visit his village and see where he comes from. And it's a very interesting thing that if there is raining, you can't visit his village because the road is blocked. And during the time of Feb, when most of the North India is very cold, and even in the other parts, there is the summer heat is little less. His village receives direct, like, scorching sunlight, if I have to say that. So it's a very drought affected area, and it's a very remote area in Maharashtra. It's called Mandwa, not the Mandwa mentioned into Agnipath, but it's a different Mandwa. And when you reach there, you see just kind of couple of huts, and that's it. That's the village. There are like 5-6 huts, small huts, and kacha makan, what we say, the unfinished houses. Sable is the first one to make a full furnished house in his village. India had good runners in past, but not someone who will constantly feature at the world level. And then I think all of it kick-started in that Commonwealth game when he almost nudged the Kenyan to a gold medal. He had some ups and downs this year. Like he had bad world championship where he didn't perform up to the mark. Back at the Asian Games, where he took 2 medals in steeplechase also, and I think in 5,000 meter also. So that is the logic of me having Avinash Sable. Then coming to Shivnath Singh. Shivnath Singh, I mean, it's a lost story now. A lot of people don't know about. If you go through the Wikipedia of Indian athletics national records, there is one national record that was created way back in 1978, and nobody has come close to it. That's the marathon timing of marathon, and it was Shivnath Singh who made that record. This man, represented India at 2 Olympics and came 11th in one of them, and all of this while running barefoot, like no shoes, none of it. He ran at Olympic barefoot. And the other reason to pick him on the list was, the kind of life he had, the afterlife he had, which was not that, how do I put it, not that, not that great. Like he died rather in, oblivion is what I'll say. So yeah, that is the reason I have these two men on my list.
Right, Avinash coming from an impoverished background, and Shivnath, they're running in the Olympics barefoot, right? When the rest of the Europeans and athletes from the rest of the world probably had the best of Reeboks and Nikes even back then. Now, I just wanted to quickly circle back with you, Tausif, and specifically ask you why you named a couple of athletes which, are pretty established by nature. So I just want to get your thoughts on why you think, the badminton duo of Sachi and Sindhu, why, according to you, are they underrated?
Where do you even start with these two? They're champions. They're always hungry for more. They have winning momentum on their side, and they have the support of a whole nation backing them going into this Olympics. They are the first Indian doubles pair to be ranked world number one. As of March, they have won, I think, 8 World Tour titles, 6 series titles, one Commonwealth gold, and one Asian Games gold. So all of this is just achieved in a span of say 5 years. Huge expectations from them in the Olympics. Why underrated, if you ask me? I'll tell you the simplest reason. Badminton fans know what Satvik Chirag is and what they're capable of. However, deep down, we all know that if there's one thing that is preventing them, if I can say, from becoming a household name, it is that Olympics medal. Some of your friends come and say, "Oh, can you have you met this athlete?" I'm like, "No, I haven't met Satvik Chirag." "Oh, so if you meet, then please get an autograph for me." So this is the level of connection that Satvik Chirag has managed to imbibe with the audience, with the badminton fans in our nation.
But having said that, remember, they've been extremely successful, great fan following as well. And I just want to bring Pritish in right now. You probably have a different point of view. I think you're saying that you probably will say rather that they're not underrated. They're already world class.
Someone who has been world number one and capturing the imagination of fans across country, I don't think we can call them underrated. Probably, yes, the Olympic medal will definitely elevate them to a different stardom, like it happened with Neeraj Chopra. But I would disagree with the fact that they are underrated. I think they are aptly rated, and when you are when you are so consistent with the performance, I think with praise a lot of criticism also comes. And I think at this moment I can see them getting a lot of praise when they do well, and getting a lot of criticism when they do well.
Now, Tausif, you also had the relay team, the Indian men's, 4x400 relay team, right? They've qualified, right? But why are they underrated?
I remember last year when they won, it was that one point in the country where everyone was like, wait, is this really happening? Are we winning in athletics, a relay event? And are those Indians standing at the top? But obviously, the journey of these four athletes is something that I like very much. There's a very generic point here to include about the diversity of the team, including Rajesh Ramesh, Mohammad Anasaya, Mohammad Ajmal, and Jacob, obviously. There's a very generic point, but then again, I think considering the times we live in, it's good to celebrate small things like this. At the World Relays this year, Rajesh Ramesh got injured, and still they clocked 3 minutes 3 seconds, which was just 4 seconds behind the new Asian record that they created last year. So we see here how the 4 seconds is a lot, no undermining that fact. But then again, we see here how this team is actually a team more than a set of individuals just coming together to perform. So at a relay event, this is extremely crucial. So the point is that we actually have a good chance in this category at the Olympics this year. And yes, just the fact that these underrated athletes do not remain underrated after their performance at the relays this year at the Olympics. Yeah.
Now, Pritish, I just wanted to circle back with you and draw your attention to Karnam Malleswari, right? You touched upon briefly about how her medal winning exploits became a call for action on the ground. Tell us a bit about that.
When she won, I definitely don't have a visual memory of her winning, but I read a lot. She was a consistent, quiz question, answer to a quiz questions, that who is the first Indian woman to win a, medal at Olympics. And in no means it was a, small feat or anything like that. It was probably one of the greatest moment of Indian sports history. And but when you go back and you go to scamper through probably the articles of that point of time, or you go and watch some clips from that point of time. I have a feeling that it didn't really look like a celebration. It was more like, a reply to something which has proceeded forward. A lot of it came from her personal experience that she was criticized quite a lot in the build-up of Olympics. And then out of, I think, some 40, 45 Indian journalists, only 3 or 4 of them were present there to, watch her lift, because nobody really gave her a chance. So all these things, I think that all this was the kind of comparison, the probably the the ingredients of her rant which came out, and eventually whole this imagination that Karnam never got what she deserved. Probably we can't go back 20 years back to see that, but I still think that she's one of the most underrated Indian athlete, not even credited much with her achievements.
My visual memory from her lift was she nonchalantly lifting the weight and dropping it down and doing a simple namaste and just walking off. Now, Tausif, I just wanted to come back to you again because you have PV Sindhu on your list.
I think personally that like at this Olympics, she's being dismissed. That nobody is considering her to win at the Olympics. Like she's one of the best badminton players, arguably, to have represented India. She'll go into the Olympics at the back of a silver and a bronze medal. Yes, she hasn't looked at her best form returning from her injury, but her comeback in the final and the historic title win at the Badminton Asia Championships just showed a champion mentality. This time round, we have some great badminton players, as I already mentioned, Satvik Chirag, Pritish already mentioned, Pranay. So we have players who are, say, performing at the world stage currently better than her, but that gives her a slight underdog advantage that she can exploit. And I should think she has the experience to exploit that advantage. So that is why I have her in my underrated list.
So I think there always in India, when we talk about sports, there is always a comparison. There is always a comparison between cricket and the other sports. It's often a pain point as an Indian sports fan in general, that cricketers get a lot and the other sports person not. But I think Sindhu is one of those who has uh, got a lot in terms of what after she did at World Championship, and then after what she did at Olympics. So I would not say that she's underrated overall, but I do agree with one point of Tosef that at the moment she is looked quite she has looked quite wobbly in last few months.
Yeah, so just like Pritish mentioned in the first part about how we generally tend to associate or create a benchmark about cricket and how fans perceive them as stars. But then at the same point, he mentioned about how PV Sindhu got that star treatment after her wins at the Olympics. Now, my point here is very simple. Why do we keep a benchmark for these athletes? There shouldn't be any benchmark. If we are creating a benchmark for cricket and we are criticizing that benchmark shouldn't exist, it should only continue to go up, then there shouldn't be a benchmark for someone who has already won 2 Olympic medals also.
Pritish, I just wanted to come back to you. A couple of players on your list that you haven't spoken in depth about. Give us a sense of the significance of Shani Wilson, but you still have her as an underrated athlete, and also touch upon HS Pranoy, if you will.
Like as I mentioned before in the conversation, that she's probably one athlete who was very dominant in the way she performed. Never lost a race, was first Indian to who, before even PT Usha reached the final or semi-final at Olympics. Saini Wilson was there, and and I think she has represented India some 75 or 76 times across her career. So I think that was my point, and she was the first women flag bearer at Olympics. Her timings were superb, and she was very dominant. So I think the amount of love, or let's say the amount of credits which came the way of PT Usha, it didn't came the way of Shiny Wilson, I believe. HS Pranay, I think HS Pranay had a very interesting career arc. Then because when he started playing badminton and he went on, he would defeat Lee Chong-wei one day or a Lin Dan one day, and then lose to a world number 50 next day. I think there was a time when he was completely down and out. That was close to the COVID time. I think he didn't have any sponsors or anything, and his body has been quite fragile. He has struggled with injuries. So when all of this was there, and I think a lot of people didn't give a chance. He didn't go to Commonwealth Games 2022, and all of these things were there. He was not playing regularly at the circuit, I think. And then came the Thomas Cup, the famous Thomas Cup victory 2022, from where uh, literally HS Pranay picked it up, and at the age of 30 he won a medal in World Championship, and then like 1.5 months later he goes on to win a medal in Asian Games, which was an Indian singles pair winning after 42 years. I think that is something which makes him underrated, that that this turnaround, this career turnaround, when a lot of people start either retiring or start going down in rankings, he has emerged as a kind of phoenix, I'll say.
We'll be keeping a close watch on him in Paris 2024 as well. Tausif, I just wanted to pick this up with you, right? You've got Prashanta Sinha there as well, and Parul Chaudhary, both of them decades apart, but from humble backgrounds. If you could share a couple of anecdotes that you've been able to dig up about both of these for the audience, that'll be helpful.
Yeah, I have had the privilege to work with Prashant Sinha's family and uncover some unheard stories about his journey. But that is the exact reason why I'll start with Parul Chaudhary, because this is someone who I've just watched on screen, and I've been amazed at how she approaches things and sports in general. She's one of those players who's championing their own cause. They are creating their own destiny. They're creating their own story. She has recently clocked her personal best and the national record. So I think the best part about her was like last year at the World Athletics Championships, she clocked 9:15, which was a national record, and she came 11th in that in the finals. But then she had clocked her personal best in the heats of the same competition of 9:24. So she had improved by 7.8 seconds, which is no small margin. 7 to 8 seconds is no small margin. So she had improved between that heats and the final, and then again, obviously breaking the national record. So here you are seeing someone who's trying to constantly improve. But if there ever was something like that, I think Parul is the epitome of that 110% effort, because she comes from a very humble background, her father being a farmer, running barefoot from a very young age, switching from 800 meter to 1500 to 3000, 5000. And the best part is now she's tasting victory.
The most interesting quote she gave during the Asian Games was that I'm happy I'll become a deputy superintendent of police in UP Police now. And the second thing, which the most interesting, was that if you guys remember that race, Parul was not at the first place. She was at the second place. And, it was quite a bit of, haggle going on there. And that last minute dash, 50-meter dash, if I have to say, from Parul was something that remained the moment of the Asian Games for everyone.
Just before we wrap up, I believe, Tausif, you have another anecdote to share with us about the legendary Prashanta Sinha.
Now, it's a very joyous moment if somebody makes a film on a historic journey such as the 1962 Asian Games, for generations to learn about who these players were and their lives and their journeys. But when I went to actually interview their family, so this is Prashanta Sinha's daughter that I'm talking to. She started tearing up. Her father was tactically just played in the semi-final and final of the Asian Games, where he provided an assist to a winning goal, and his name was just completely omitted from the film. And Ram Bahadur was playing in the semis and final. In the family, that they were hurt, but there was also a certain degree of helplessness that I felt while talking to them. So, if we are talking about underrated, I feel that Prashant Sinha is certainly one name who was underrated from the very beginning, as were many footballers. After the 1960s and 1970s, there have been many footballers who have contributed immensely to the sport but have been underrated and under-recognized. But just that if we are revisiting history and if we are retelling stories, if we just uh, mention someone with the stature of Sayyid Abdul Rahim, and recognize their efforts in creating that history. So we cannot omit someone like Prashant Sinha either.
These are legendary figures, and I'm so glad all of these names came right back into the limelight. Pritish and Thosar, thank you very much for sharing your observations with us. Thank you for throwing the light on a lot of these athletes who've brought laurels to the country. Some of them that we'll be watching very closely at Paris 2024 as well. Clearly, we could have gone on for a lot longer, but I'm afraid we've run out of time and we'll have to end this conversation right here. Now, clearly, the athletes from the past will, always inspire us, and the ones heading to Paris 2024 will keep us on the edge of our seats. Thank you very much for watching this podcast, and continue following The Bridge as we cover all the latest in Indian sports. And we will see you next time on our podcast series. Until then, goodbye and good luck.